Budanadin dim tananadim Nadrudim dim tanana tadaratani Budanadim dim tananadim Nadrudim dim tanana tadaratani Budanadim dim tananadim
Going to New York, performing my first solo in the US was petrifying. I think I did a 4-day turnaround to India. So I got there, I performed the next day, slept the day after that, and left. Like it was a whirlwind. A whirlwind doesn't even describe what it was. And I think that that's where this idea of not being so perfect started really hitting home, because I know that when I was dancing that Varnam, in the middle of it, I got a hit of jet lag. And you know when you just get that jet lag and everything just goes funny, and I was like, okay, so now I can feel it, I can feel the tiredness coming on. All I can do is give and give and give and give and give and give and try and give everything that I had. So I started to really just try to go beyond being perfect and not to think about that, but I was just going, as I was walking back, I was just going, enjoy it, just enjoy it, just enjoy it. And I don't know, like I don't even know what I did that performance. I don't know how it went, because it was just one of those shows where I kind of started and ended. What happened in between, I have no clue. To be one of the top 10 performers in the New York Times for that show was like, it's so funny, because it's only when you think back about this journey that you realize how much I've done. Like, it sounds silly, because when it was announced, it was the middle of Chennai season, and it was just like a thing. It was like, Chris is in the New York Times. Okay, so there's a kacheri at 2 o'clock, so we'll go for that? Okay, cool, bye. It wasn't like a big deal. And I think it was only when I went to the UK 6 months later, and someone said, aren't you that boy from the New York Times? And I was like, yes, yeah, I think that's me. And I found out that it's a big deal, and it was amazing. To think that, I think you have to know how small and insular Perth growing up was to understand the magnanimity of the situation of a boy from Perth being in the New York Times. Like, stuff like that didn't happen. It was insane. So that was really exciting. It was really exciting to be a part of that. I started choreographing my own work, which is really, really interesting, because I never thought I was good enough to be a choreographer. And then Malvika Sarukayaka gave me a fellowship for choreography, and then I kind of went, well, looks like I have to choreograph. And I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the process, working with process and creating work that's meaningful to me and resonates with me and isn't just about showing off or about jumping around. And it has made my dance just grow even more and more and more and more and more. Since over the last 2 years is I've been working with my teacher Braga Bessel so much more, and I have consciously just killed myself to understand Abhinaya, and it's only with her guidance that I've been able to raise that level up to a point where I'm actually impressed when I watch my own Abhinaya, because I used to think that my face was, I just didn't think I could. And it takes someone like her to believe in you and make you believe that you can do it, and to really push you. Like, Braga teacher is the sweetest woman in the world, but it's not like we finish practicing in class and she's like, that was great. She's like, so here's 10 more points that we can make it better. And I think that push and having that one person that I kind of rely on and that one person to give me feedback has just let me grow in ways that I didn't even know possible. Because the most amazing thing about Braga teacher is that she gives us so much freedom to explore. She's not caged into the cookie cutter either, and she's happy for you to kind of do it your way and to see where the pieces land and to explore and think about ideas. She's always so happy when we come back to her and we're like, teacher, if I do ipdi panni நல்லா இருக்கா? She's like, yeah, அப்படி பண்ணு. Because it shows that we're thinking, and it shows that we're really investing our time. So my time with Braga teacher over the past 2 years has been so transformative, I think is the word. I've also just met friends in the past 2 years that have really started to help me understand where I'm going, really push me in a new direction. That's really exciting, just because you are the people you surround yourself with, and I think that's really, really true. So when you're in a journey with people who are also looking for themselves and also trying to create and also want the best for themselves, you are pulling out the best for yourself to just keep in line with those people, because that's really exciting.
You talk to trees?
I do. They're definitely more honest.
But that's because they suffer less. That's why they look so, beautiful.
What made you come back?
I needed to reconnect with my father to dance again. Every night, I've been having this dream. He's standing in the water, singing to me. But before I can reach him, I drown.
Acting is its own, in no way am I an actor. That's the first thing I want to make clear, because it's so difficult to act. It's not an easy thing to do, and I think that dancers think it's easy, and it's only when you watch yourself back in that setting that you realize how bad it can be. It really is its own craft, and I think that you have to think in two separate ways, especially when you're talking about an English medium film that's for general consumption. I think that acting, I barely just got to understanding what Abhinaya is. I don't know if I could do acting again. I enjoyed working on the film that I worked on, and I had a lot of fun, and it was a great learning experience. I was really lucky to be a part of that project. I also had help from a very good friend of mine, Aditi Haidari Rao, who's an actual Bollywood actress. So she would give me like cliff notes of how to act, which really, really helped. But I think that acting lent something to my Bharatanatyam, in that it made me think about the way that we look at a padam or the text of a song that we're singing. In acting, we're constantly taught, or we're constantly told, that you have to, every time someone goes, that thing's over there, you have to go, where? Like that. And you actually have to you have to constantly forget the replies that you're going to give to make it look natural. That's not something we do in Bharatanatyam. We know that the line after this line is that line, so we kind of prepare for it early. I think that kind of loses a freshness in your performance, whereas when you start to think of, say, a Varnam, the dialogue as your own internal dialogue, that you need to be saying, there's no point in a line being sung and you not interpreting it for the first time. The first time that the singer sings that line should be you interpreting through your dance, because then the dialogue continues. That's my new little thing. So I think that's the next thing that we have to do as dancers, is looking at the approach of how we approach these items, because they are conversations, and a lot of the time when we forget that they're conversations with something or with someone or about something, that they become too structured, and when they become structured they become boring, and then they become archaic, and then people can't access them as freely. It's only when we take them our own voice and allow that voice to kind of, it's something that you kind of ingest and then spew out, lovely. But unless you do that, the dialogue's not yours, and then it loses that resonance that's so important, you know. And that's what I learned from acting, is really internalizing to then
Why did he never come to see me?
You are to me both fire and ice.
Some of the most inspirational moments I've had as a dancer is just being in Chennai and watching amazing dance. There are kacheris that I've watched, or performances that I've watched, where I can close my eyes and relive that whole thing because it was so special. I think the most amazing performance I've ever seen and will ever see in my life is Leelaka's Music Academy Kacheri. I'm not sure what year it was, but I was dancing in the company then. That night, she did a Varnam that I've never seen in my entire life. Not one of the hands was what she's taught anyone. Everything was new, everything was fresh. It was like, it honestly was such an amazing kacheri. I almost cry every time I think about it because it was so special. And that's where I saw this thing of sharing, because it wasn't pre-planned. It wasn't something that she knew was going to happen. She just lived every moment of that kacheri from the minute she stepped on to the minute she stepped off. And it was magical. 2 years ago, I watched Malaka do my most hated Varnam in a costume that I really didn't like, and I wept because the way Malaka did Rupumujuchi, amazing. I think every time I've watched Braga teacher do a 2.5 hour full Margam, Allara Pujadiswaram Shabdam Varnam, the works. I've never seen an artist walk off stage and just walk back on and not think about it, just doing 2.5 hours. It was amazing. That's what Chennai gives you. It gives you access to watch these legends, and there are legends, and if you don't watch them now, you're missing out, and that's why they're legends. And watching kacheris is something that really inspires me. Watching people who make work really inspires me. This year, Maithili Prakash's work on Mate was, I'm lost for words, because I've never watched something and be so moved by someone so young. And it was just amazing, the amount of ideas. I especially think as we start searching in our own dance, we start watching dance in a different way. So because I'm now trying to create my own work and trying to do stuff like that, I'm now watching dance to watch for ideas. I don't care what your costume looks like. I don't care about all this other stuff. I just want to see what ideas can you bring. How can you look at something in a different way that makes me think about something in a different way? And that's the best thing about watching inspirational dance. I think those are the things that inspires me. Just being here and being able to watch dance literally almost whenever you want is such a luxury. It's such a luxury. And being able to then talk to those performers and tell them, that was amazing, or just sometimes you don't want to speak, sometimes you just want to get their blessings, because words can't describe how amazing it was to witness them. CVC sir, Radha auntie, Braga teacher, the list is endless, and that's what inspires me, is watching these people who just, A. Lakshmana Swami. If you haven't watched A. Lakshmana Swami, go watch him now. The man is a genius, by far. He's a man that is so simple, but encapsulates dance so well. Ideas are so fresh and so well thought out, because he lives, breathes, and will die dance. That's what Lakshmanana is. There are all of these people, and that's what inspires me. That's why I live here. If you want to become an Indian classical dancer, practice. And then when you think you can't practice anymore, practice again. And then when you think you've done practicing, practice one more time. That's what Malaka had that show where she did Rukmujuchi, and I swear to God, I went backstage after, Sudharma and I went backstage after to just, I don't know, we just needed to go backstage. And literally we got the Geeta Upadesham of Bharatanatyam from Malaka, where she had finished this amazing performance, came off stage and needed to share that message of what she had done with someone. And Sudharma and I are so lucky that we were there to receive it. We just happened to be there. And she said, practice, 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 practice. And when you're done practicing, practice one more time. And when you think you've done practicing, practice again. Because when you practice like that, when you practice and you put so much love and passion into your dance, only then is it transformative. Only then can you really feel it. Can you make someone feel something more than just themselves. That's the goal. The goal isn't to be a famous dancer called Chris. The dream is to just be a vessel that allows dance to come into you, that you can pour out for everybody else to enjoy. Because I don't care about myself when I'm on stage. It's not about, it shouldn't be about me or people going to see Chris because he'll do a triple turn, or he'll jump really high, or he sits really low in Aramandi. I would love it to be just because I can give, and that's it. I think that's, my advice, and that only comes through practice. Practice, and practicing honestly, practicing with intent. When you're practicing and you're tired, practice again. Practice, 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 practice. That's the best advice anyone will give you. Practice in your hotel, practice in, my favorite place to practice, airplanes. No Wi-Fi, no phone, no nothing. 5 hours of you and your music and your notes and your laptop. I've choreographed entire jatis in a plane because it's a pressure cooker of just work. Practice, and make sure that you make time to practice. Don't make excuses. I practice when I'm sick. I practice when I don't want to. I practice when I'm lazy. And everyone hates it. And that first time will always be bad. And that second time will always be bad. But it's unless you do that first or second that you can get to the third or fourth where you're really starting to do something that's meaningful. The greatest challenges for me are the ones that I put in front of myself. The kind of stumbling blocks that you put in front of yourself where you say, you're not good enough, you're not worth it. It's it's not going to happen for you. You know, we all have our inner saboteur who kind of just says it's not going to happen. And that's my biggest stumbling block, is that sometimes I listen to my inner saboteur too much and I say, you know what, I am not good enough, and you know what, I'll never be good enough. And it's when you listen to him and you let that evil little Chris say all those things into your ear that it shakes you and it kind of pushes you and you kind of get scared, and all of that does nothing for you in the long run. That, I think, is that's the thing that is the hardest thing to come over, is yourself. The only person that's getting in the way of you achieving what you want to achieve is yourself. If you allow yourself to be a victim and say, oh, I can't do this because of X, Y, Z, then you're not going to achieve anything. No one achieves anything watching Netflix on the couch. Though it is really fun, it's not enough. You have to be ready to rip your heart out, put it on the stage and be like, this is it, this is me. And I think that when you start to understand that, you understand, I deal with stuff, I get depressed, I don't want to eat, I'm worried about my weight, I do all of that, I'm human. And when I let those things get to me, I cry. I let it out, I get it out, I talk to my friends, I go and watch dance, I remind myself why I love it. And then I kind of come back into my practice room and go, you know what? I love this so much, it's not worth giving up. It's not worth letting myself feel like this. I understand that I have to feel like this sometimes, but I have to just keep going, because stopping is stupid. That, I think, is my biggest, the hardest thing I have to deal with is myself. That's it. There are people that don't like how I dance. There are people who want to talk about me and my personal life and gossip about me and stuff like that. But as RuPaul says, if they're not paying your bills, pay them no mind. And that's what I realized, is that I can't stop you having an opinion about me. I can't change your opinion about me unless you watch my dance. If you don't know me, I can't do anything. I can only be myself, and I can only live the way that I need to live my life. And I can't be apologetic about that, because there's no point. Because when you try to please others, you never really please yourself. And when you're not pleasing yourself and you're not happy, there's no point. There really, really isn't any point. That's my biggest hurdle that I've dealt with over the past X many years, is just learning to love myself and realizing that I am enough. That's it.
பகலிரவெல்லாம் நினைந்துருகியும் பரிவில்லாத நெஞ்சம் தந்ததார். பகலிரவெல்லாம் நினைந்துருகியும் பலவிதம் தனிலே நினையழைத்தேன், மனம் சலித்தேன், ஒரு துணையில்லே நின்னம் என் மனம் அறியாத பரிவில்லாத நெஞ்சம் தந்ததார். பகலிரவெல்லாம் நினைந்துருகியும் பலவிதம் தனிலே நினையழைத்தேன், மனம் செழித்தேன், ஒரு துணையில்லே நின்னம் என் மனம் அறியாதவர் போல இருந்திடல் நியாயமா? யாதவ மாதவ இன்னம் என் மனம் அறியாதவர் போல இருந்திடல் நியாயமா? நியாயமா? உழலூதும் அழகா கண்ணா உழலூதும் அழகா கண்ணா உழலூதும் அழகா கண்ணா
धड़ं कुतक दिगु तक तति किट तुम तारी धण जुणु तार तेरे तकिन तारी धण ताम जुणु दिमि किट धिमि तारी किट तक जुणु दिमि ते जरि धण जुणु दिमि तारी धण जुणु तार तेरे तकिन तारी धण ताम जुणु दिमि किट धिमि तारी किट तक जुणु दिमि ते तारी धण जुणु दिमि तारी धण ताम
ಪರುಲನ ಮಾಟ ನಮ್ಮವಧೂ ಪ್ರಾಣನಾಯಕ ಪರುಲನ ಮಾಟ ನಮ್ಮವಧೂ ಪ್ರಾಣನಾಯಕ ಪರುಲನ್ನ ಮಾಟ ನಮ್ಮವಧೂ ಪ್ರಾಣ ನಾಯಕ ಪರುಲನ ಮಾಟ ನಮ್ಮವಧೂ ಪ್ರಾಣ ನಾಯಕ ದೀಂ ನಾದ್ರ ದೀಂ ದೀಂ ತನನ ತದರ ತಾನಿ ಬುಧನ ದೀಂ ದೀಂ ತನನ ದೀಂ ನಾದ್ರ ದೀಂ ದೀಂ ತನನ ತದರ ತಾನಿ ಬುಧನ ದೀಂ ದೀಂ ತನನ ದೀಂ ನಾದ್ರ ದೀಂ ದೀಂ ತನನ ತದರ ತಾನಿ ಉದನ ದೀಂ